Michael and I were talking earlier, and it's very interesting. One of the most popular search terms that end up at SurePayroll is the term payroll calculator. Why is payroll calculator ending up at SurePayroll?
Well, payroll calculator is, when you think about, when you're running a small business, we are, people that run businesses are all unpaid tax collectors for the federal government. The federal government demands that we all go out and collect money, and if we don't, they're going to fine us. If they don't fine us, they'll put us in jail.
So really what the government says is that I, as an individual, if I'm working for you, I have to pay the government tax revenue.
You have to pay the government tax revenue, and me as your employer, I'm responsible to make sure that I withhold a certain amount.
So it's your job to essentially get the right percentages?
Get the right percentages to get the right amount of money actually out of the account, if you will, or hold it, and then get it to the government on time, and then we sort of settle up with the returns after the fact. And if there's an error anywhere in that process, the government's just going to fine you.
So back before SurePayroll, and when I was doing this myself, what I had to do was like fill out a form, and I filled out that form every week, and I then attached a check to that form.
If you, for the employee or for the government?
For the government.
Right.
Well, I guess I attached the check and gave it to the employee, too.
Right. You gave a check to the employee, and then you probably had multiple checks for the government, because you had your state government, your federal government, sometimes you have local taxes, you might have a 401k plan you have to remit money to. There's all sorts of steps in the process.
Okay.
And one of the things that as a small business owner out there, or anybody running a business, I got to do payroll. And so therefore, one of the things you're trying to do is, how do I figure out what is the taxes that need to be taken out and withheld, and what other deductions might apply, whether it's a health insurance plan, etc. And then once you do that, then you have to know who you owe money to, which agency, pay those agencies that money, and then you have to file those returns. And so the first part of this is a calculator. Now, the trick for the calculator is making sure that you actually have entered in all of the correct information, and you get it, correct, because garbage in, garbage out.
Right, and one of the real services now you can provide it being people are comfortable now like entering data into the internet was, okay, people are comfortable entering data into the internet, why don't you create a service essentially for them to go enter that data into the internet?
Right, and once they enter that data, our service actually takes the calculators far beyond that, because you enter that information, we do the calculation right there for you, you approve it, we pay all the taxes, we file all the returns, and we guarantee it's right. So if there's any penalties, we're going to pay those.
Oh, okay.
So we're taking it a greater step. But you still have a bunch of folks that are looking for self-service, and they're new to business, or they want to do it themselves, and so they're going online, and they're going into Google, and they're typing payroll calculator. How do I calculate what my net amount of my payroll should be? And so they come to sites like ours, and we show them how to do that. But oftentimes they take the next step and then become a SurePayroll customer, because we talked about these fines. One of the most staggering numbers to me is that I think it's 40%, so 4 in 10 small business owners out there have been fined by the IRS,
really?
Just the federal government, for either an inaccurate or late filing.
So they get fined for either inaccurate or late. So obviously if they use your service, it's not going to be inaccurate.
Right.
How do you help them as far as not being late?
Well, we're going to withhold the money when we run the payroll, and then we pay it into the government agency. So we're going to guarantee that it's done accurately and on time.
If I'm going to pay my people every Friday, then you're going to make sure when you cut that check to Bob Smith, who works for me, that
you have enough money to pay Bob Smith's taxes.
Right, okay.
Government. And the federal government believes that those tax monies need to be paid in.
Okay.
Right? You shouldn't use that as working capital in your business by law. The other amazing thing is these 4 in 10 that are fined, the average fine is almost $800. So that's about the cost of our service for a year.